In the 21st century, the challenges to representative government, individual rights, equality, liberty, and freedom of all sorts are profound. At the international level, authoritarianism is now seen as a viable political and economic alternative for states that were once on the path to democratic governance. There is a global freedom deficit today that few anticipated just a few decades ago when color revolutions were taking place throughout the world and establishing democratic regimes. At home, authoritarian strains are popping up everywhere. Nowhere is this more apparent than the cybersecurity policies of multinational corporations that grant to themselves dominance of the digital infrastructure that controls and shapes our everyday lives. Nowhere is this more apparent than in Ukraine, which has Russia occupying Crimea, fomenting the separatist movements in the eastern part of the country, and being the aggressor against Ukraine in many ways. And then there is the insidious erosion of freedom of inquiry at the hands of radical academic theorists and government policymakers to spread and legitimize the falsehoods that lead to government control and controlled by elites over people's lives. Freedom everywhere is under assault. But for a host of political reasons, universities, research centers, think tanks, government officials, business leaders, and many others who fought the battle for freedom in the 20th century at critical moments now are at a loss in carrying the torch of liberty. We are at a tipping point. In many ways, this is understandable. Freedom has been so improbable and fragile throughout human history that it is always only a generation or so away from being undermined, if not destroyed, by the centrifugal forces of tyranny and command and control that constantly menace the advance of Western civilization. We see this now in Ukraine. Russia has undermined its ability to be a sovereign, independent state. Thus, your country is ground zero for the future of the West. This means that the United States, NATO, and other peoples and nations that love freedom must stand with Ukraine. Your country must be made whole, independent, democratic, and free of outside interference. No single state, domestic or international institution, or person can remove all the obstacles to enduring representative government. A major blow can be dealt, however, to the ominous march of economic and political repression by working together on what I call the Freedom Project. Sounds easy, but in detail, it means that we have to put a lot of thought and a lot of collaboration and cooperation into our common objective. During your student retreat, please think through arguments, policies, ideas, and many other diagrams that will encourage your fellow citizens and those of us in the West to make sure that Ukraine is further knitted into Western institutions, receives more security assistance from the United States, so that it can be the leader in Europe on this march to freedom. We know that Ukraine can play that very central role. The Kiev Security Forum is absolutely the right place to have the conversation. I look forward to engaging with you through the forum in the years ahead. As I've said, we have a lot of work to do. Let's be encouraged, not discouraged, but let's really get to work. Thank you.